All right, so if you're a real estate professional or an investor, I'm sure you've been in this exact spot. You spend a huge chunk of change to replace something major on your building, like a roof, and then you're standing there looking at the old one being hauled away, and you've got to be asking yourself, is there any tax value left in that thing I just threw in a dumpster? Well, the answer is in this really powerful tool called the partial disposition election. And today, we are going to break down exactly how it works.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've just capitalized the brand new roof, but what about the old one? Well, I've got good news for you. Thanks to a really smart provision in the tax code, the answer is, very often, a big yes. Let's dive into exactly how you do it. I love this slide because it just perfectly shows the before and after. Before the tangible property regulations came along, you were literally stuck depreciating an asset that wasn't even there anymore, this ghost asset. But now, with the partial disposition election, you can finally make your tax records match reality. And this is the best part, take an immediate loss. It's an absolute game changer.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this deep dive. First, we're going to look at the problem this whole election was created to solve. Then we'll walk through the hoops you have to jump through, the specific rules of the election itself, how to do the critical calculation, and then, of course, how to actually claim the loss. And we'll finish up with the pitfalls you absolutely have to avoid.
So first up, to really get why this election is such a big deal, we got to rewind the clock a bit. Let's talk about how things were before these 2014 disposition regulations came into the picture. The old system was, frankly, kind of absurd. You'd go and capitalize the new roof, which makes sense, but the old roof's basis? It just stayed there on the books, depreciating right alongside the new one. I'm not kidding. You could literally have a building that's depreciating 2, maybe even 3 roofs when it physically only has 1. This asset stacking just inflated your basis and pushed off deductions that you should have been able to take right away.
Okay, let's talk about the first hurdle you have to clear, and this one is a big one. Not every single roof job is going to qualify. To get the deduction for the old roof, the new roof absolutely must be treated as a capital improvement.
So this whole analysis really kicks off with a core concept from the tangible property regulations, the unit of property, or UOP. Think of it as the yardstick we're using to measure everything. For real estate, the law looks at the entire building and all its parts as one single UOP. And this is so important because that scale is what helps us decide if the work you did was just a little patch-up repair or a major capital improvement.
And this is the bottom line, right here. If you just expense that new roof as a routine repair, you can't make this election for the old one. The logic makes sense, right? If it's just a repair, the tax law basically says the original asset, the building, is still intact. This election only gets triggered when you treat that new roof as a capitalized restoration or a betterment.
So how do you know if it qualifies as a capital improvement? Well, you run it through this restoration analysis. You ask yourself, was this replacement because of some casualty event, like a storm, under IRC Section 165? Did I replace a really significant chunk of the whole roof system? If you can answer yes to those kinds of questions, then that work gets capitalized under Internal Revenue Code Section 263A, and boom, that's what opens the door to make this election.
All right, so you've cleared the capitalization hurdle. Fantastic. Now we get to dig into the nitty-gritty of the election itself, and all these rules come from one place. Treasury Regulation Section 1.168I-8.
The rules for who can play are actually pretty straightforward. First, the building has to be what's called MACRS property. That's the depreciation system, the modified accelerated cost recovery system we've all been using for property put into service after 1986. Second, it's got to be for a structural component like our roof. And third, there has to be a clear disposition event. And in our case, that's the retirement and, well, the destruction of that old roof. Okay, but just as important as knowing when you can use this is knowing when you can't. So listen up. You are out of luck if your building is grouped into what's called a general asset account, or GAA. That's a whole different set of rules for dispositions. Same goes for any property placed in service before 1987. And if you're using that remodel refresh safe harbor for the building, that also means you can't take a partial disposition.
And the regs actually draw a really important line here. In some situations, you don't have a choice. For things like a casualty loss under Section 165 or a like-kind exchange under Section 1031, you have to recognize the disposition. It's mandatory. But for our scenario, a typical renovation because of plain old wear and tear, this selection is totally your choice. You have to be proactive and claim it.
So, this brings us to the part that honestly can be the most challenging bit of this whole process.
How in the world do you figure out the basis of an old roof that was never even its own line item on your depreciation schedule to begin with? Luckily, Treasury Regulation 1.168 I-8 doesn't just leave us hanging. It gives us a few reasonable ways to figure this out. The absolute gold standard is called specific identification, but that only works if you somehow have the original cost of just the roof. A close second is using a cost segregation study. But let's be real, the most common method is to use something called the Producer Price Index, or PPI, to basically take the cost of the new roof and discount it back in time to the year the building was originally placed in service. But hang on, there is a huge flashing warning sign here that you need to see. This comes straight from the experts at KBKG, a top advisory firm. They warn that just blindly using a PPI calculation can lead to a massively overstated loss. And an overstated loss, that's a huge red flag for the IRS. So you have to be really careful and reasonable when you apply this method. All right, you've done the hard work. You've navigated the rules. You've run the numbers. Now we get to the good part, actually claiming the loss and seeing that financial benefit. And this, right here, is where the magic happens. This election creates what's called tax rate arbitrage. It sounds complicated, but it's simple. You're taking what would have been a tax bill in the future at one tax rate, and you're turning it into a tax deduction right now at what could be a much higher tax rate. See, without this election, when you eventually sell that property down the road, all that depreciation you took on that ghost roof gets recaptured, and it's taxed at a special rate of 25%. By making the election, you wipe that future recapture right off the table.
And here's the flip side of that coin. The loss you take today is an ordinary loss. That means it can offset your other ordinary income, which could be taxed at your top marginal rate, all the way up to 37%. A deduction at 37% today? Yeah, that's way better than getting hit with a 25% tax bill years from now.
So how do you actually do it? It's pretty straightforward. You do the basis calculation we talked about. You report that loss on Form 4797, Sales of Business Property, and the election is officially made just by filing that tax return on time. But, and this is so important, you must retire the asset. You have to go into your depreciation schedule and physically remove that old roof basis. That last step, you absolutely cannot forget it. That's what ensures you actually avoid that future recapture tax.
Okay, I really need you to listen closely to this last part. I cannot stress this enough, this election is incredibly powerful, but its deadline is absolute. It is completely unforgiving. This timeline says it all. If you replace a roof in 2023, you have to make the election on your 2023 tax return, filed in 2024. If you miss that deadline, that's it. The opportunity is gone, forever. Now, there used to be a way to catch up on this using a Form 3115. You might have heard of DCN 196. Well, that relief is obsolete. It's gone. That back door has been slammed shut. You either make the election on time or you lose it for good.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. This election is a huge opportunity to pull deductions forward and create real tangible tax savings. For every major renovation your clients do, are you actively looking for these disposed components? Are you capturing the value that would otherwise just be lost forever as a ghost asset?